protectors, legal shields, ways to ensure that even if they somehow succeeded in contesting the will, they couldn't touch the money I'd already received. By morning, I had a plan. I called my financial advisor. I want to set up an irrevocable trust today. She walked me through the process. We set up a trust that I couldn't access for 5 years except for approved expenses like education, housing, and medical care. Everything else locked away where no court order could reach it. Then I did something else. I hired a private investigator. I need you to document every financial irregularity in my family's business dealings for the past 10 years, I said. Focus on my father, my Uncle Richard, and my Uncle Thomas. The investigator, a woman named Victoria who'd worked 20 years in white-collar crime, raised an eyebrow. What exactly are we looking for? Fraud, embezzlement, tax evasion, anything that would interest the IRS or the FBI. This could get expensive. I have the money. It took Victoria 6 weeks. She delivered a report that was 147 pages long. I read every word. The highlights. My father had been systematically embezzling from the family business for 12 years. Total estimated theft, $847,000. Uncle Richard had been running a real estate scam, flipping properties using falsified inspection reports. Total fraud, approximately $1.2 million. Uncle Thomas had been betting on sports through an illegal bookmaking operation. Total debt, $623,000. And here's what made my chest tight. The people Uncle Thomas owed money to were the reason Dad had borrowed my college fund. Dad had co-signed on one of Uncle Thomas's debts. When Uncle Thomas couldn't pay, the collectors came for Dad. Dad had emptied my college fund to save himself from his brother's mess, then blamed everyone else. I called Maxwell and Ivy. We need to meet, I said. Today. We met at a coffee shop in a neighborhood where none of our family would ever visit. I brought copies of Victoria's report. They read in silence. Maxwell finished first. He set down the papers carefully. Holy shit. Ivy was pale. My dad did this? My dad too. All of them. What are we going to do? She asked. I pulled out another document, the one I'd been working on for the past week with Thomas's help. We're going to give them a choice. The document was simple. A settlement agreement. They would repay every dollar they'd stolen from the family business, repay every dollar they'd borrowed from the trust funds, and never return sign over their shares in the family business to a neutral third party. Agree to never contact any of the three of us again. In exchange, we wouldn't report the fraud to the FBI, we wouldn't report the embezzlement to the IRS, we wouldn't sue them in civil court for mismanagement of our grandmother's estate. They'll never agree to this, Ivy said. They will, I said, because the alternative is prison. Maxwell studied the document. This is brilliant. Brutal, but brilliant. They taught us well, I said. We spent the next 3 days preparing. Maxwell hired his own investigator to corroborate Victoria's findings. Ivy, who'd just passed the bar exam, made sure the settlement agreement was airtight. Then we invited our fathers to a meeting. Neutral territory. A conference room in a downtown office building. No family members except the three of us and them. Dad arrived first, then Uncle Richard, then Uncle Thomas. They looked older than I remembered. Tired, scared, good. I placed copies of Victoria's report in front of each of them. You have 30 minutes to read, I said. Then we'll discuss your options. Dad opened his copy. His face went white. Where did you get this? Read first. Questions later. They read. I watched them realize what we'd done, how thoroughly we'd documented their crimes, how impossible it would be to